Foul Manor by Trevor Lidke. Story number 2, Working Girl. Chapter 1, The Princess in the Tower. Morning had arrived at the manor. The sun shone brightly on the outer walls, which highlighted the many cracks and chips in the paint. Out back in the grassy backyard was Jeremy, poking around by the river. His eyes were bloodshot, and underneath them, dark circles were forming. Rather than spending his night asleep, Jeremy roamed around the neighborhood until 4:30 that morning, then lay down in his bed for only 3 hours, then began his day. Now, here he was. He didn't really know what he was doing by the river, but whatever he was doing, he sure was doing it. Jeremy's hand lazily dipped into the water, which felt only slightly colder than it was the day before. Suddenly, something hit his hand. Jeremy looked down and saw a baby turtle.
"Whoa, no way!"
he exclaimed. Jeremy scooped the turtle up, eyeing it intensely.
"What a neat find! Sure don't see that every day."
Jeremy looked into the river, then back at the turtle.
"I don't see any parents. Heh, looks like you're coming home with me, little guy."
"What do you think you're doing?"
a voice called out. Jeremy wheeled around to see Patsy standing behind him, hands on her hips, and a furious scowl spread across her face.
"I'm just holding this little turtle," Jeremy replied, "thinking I may keep him or something. Do baby turtles need to get walked a lot like dogs?"
"You can't just take him out of the river like that,"
said Patsy.
"He has a family that he needs to be with. Besides, you're upsetting the ecosystem. You're taking him out of his natural routine. He won't be able to survive."
"He'll be able to survive if I teach him to," said Jeremy. "I'm pretty good at making people do what I want."
"Well, you're not very good at convincing me,"
said Patsy.
"Yeah, well,
Jeremy stammered.
That's because I'm just not trying that hard. Yeah, I would totally be able to convince you if I really wanted to."
Sure.
Patsy sighed as she inched closer to Jeremy. Without a warning, she plucked the turtle right from Jeremy's hands, cupping it in her own, holding it close to her chest.
"Don't worry, little one. You'll be home soon."
She knelt down at the river and dropped the turtle in. It swam away, eventually getting out of sight.
"It didn't even stop to say goodbye,"
said Jeremy. Patsy turned to look at Jeremy, utterly confused by what she just heard.
"What? It's a figure of speech."
Before Patsy could say anything else, the door flew open. Ethan stuck his head out and called, "Hey guys! Breakfast is on!" The two of them sped inside. The smell of bacon and eggs permeated the air. It was impossible not to notice it. Ethan was in the kitchen, dishing up 8 plates full of food. Sitting at the table were Amanda, Yevgeny, and Olivia. Seconds later, Grace sped down the stairs and into the kitchen.
"I just called home," she said. "Sure enough, Dupovny was telling the truth. One of his friends has moved to Beverly, Kansas. His name is Patrick Griffin. He bought the old Robinson place at the end of the street."
"Well, mystery solved then," said Yevgeny. "I can finally sleep at night without these constant nightmares of wondering whether or not this friend is real."
"Oh, don't mind him,"
Amanda beamed.
"It's always good to find out the answer to these little mysteries in life. That's what helps make it so interesting, don't you think?"
"Yeah, I guess so," Grace said unsurely. "So, someone cooked breakfast or something?" "Ethan did," Olivia replied. She turned to Ethan, then continued. "You really didn't have to, you know. We could definitely cook for ourselves." "No, really, I insist," Ethan chirped. "It's the least I could do for my new friends. Besides, my cooking is kind of a big deal back home. Everyone goes nuts for it. I hope that didn't sound too arrogant. Sorry if it sounded like I was boasting or something." "For that you must be put to death," Yevgeny snickered.
"Do you always have to be on?"
Amanda scoffed. "Only when I get these reactions from you," Yevgeny said coyly. Patsy and Jeremy took their seats while Ethan gave everyone their plates. Right as Jeremy was about to dig in, Ethan stopped him. "Hey, whoa, buddy," he said. "Don't you notice something missing here?"
I don't know. Toast or something?"
"No, we're missing somebody. Lance isn't here." "Oh, please," Yevgeny grunted. "We don't need to wait for him. He would not be waiting for us. Everyone else is already here. The whiny one, the princess, the girl from nowhere, the smelly man, the shy girl, and you, Mormon man. So what if we are missing the brainiac? Ethan ignored this. He shot right up from his seat and called out, "Hey Lance, breakfast is on!" Silence. Do you think he heard me?
I think the whole house heard you, Grace replied. I think I felt the table shake. That's okay, though. You're just letting him know about breakfast,
Olivia said unsurely.
I mean, it's a good thing, right? Nothing wrong with that?
Well, I wouldn't think so, Ethan replied with a shrug. But I guess next time I'll just go looking for him if the noise bothers you guys. Lance briskly entered the room, deeply immersed in a copy of The Bridge Over River Kwai. Someone cook breakfast? He asked. You missed the explanation, Yevgeny replied. We are not going to repeat it for you because you are rudely late.
Ethan was kind enough to cook breakfast for us,
Amanda said while scowling at Yevgeny.
Isn't that just sweet of him?
Yeah, I guess so, Lance answered. I'll take mine to go, though. Thanks. Lance scooped his plate up and began to leave. Wait! Ethan called out. Don't you want to sit at the table with the rest of us? It's our first morning together. I don't see how that would make any difference, said Lance. It's that, it'd be a good opportunity for us to get to know each other, said Ethan, desperately trying to sound positive. Wouldn't it be great to start getting to know everybody on a deep personal level? We are housemates after all, we're going to be living together for quite some time. May as well make a friendship out of it. Or 7 friendships. Lance looked around the table, back at his book, then right at Ethan. I think I'll pass for today, thanks, said Lance as he left the room. Oh, well, Ethan sighed. Guess you can't please everybody. Okay, everyone, dig in. The second that Ethan finished his sentence, Jeremy loudly began eating his food, snorting and smacking his lips with every bite.
Do you have to do that?
Patsy asked.
It's so disgusting.
Are you trying to take a page from the book of Amanda here? Asked Yevgeny. If so, you're doing a very good job. I'm getting a headache already.
I mean, I can't be the only one disgusted by it. Well,
Olivia stammered.
It's not very... it's kinda...
Fine, Jeremy groaned. I'll eat more quietly, okay?
Jeremy resumed eating his food, as equally loud and obnoxious as he had before. Feeling annoyed, Patsy shoveled the rest down her throat, then excused herself from the table. Patsy walked out to the backyard, going back to the river. No turtles were there this time. Good. They were all safe from Jeremy. Looking at the water and thinking about the turtles reminded Patsy of home. Even though she'd only been gone for exactly 1 day, she was already starting to feel a little homesick. Hawaii's nice sandy beaches, the tropical air, and of course, her family, all stayed in her mind.
It's gonna be okay, though,
she told herself.
I'm here to make new memories in a new place with new friends. Hopefully one special friend.
Patsy took her shoes off and plunged her feet right into the river. Maybe it was because she hadn't been forcibly shoved in there this time, but the water felt a lot nicer this time around. The slightly chilled waves rapping against her legs gave her goosebumps. The sun shimmering on the surface occasionally blinded her, but it was all worth it. Such a beautiful sight, unlike anything she could see back home. She lost track of time, however, because before she knew it, her stomach was rumbling.
Either I didn't eat enough at breakfast, or it's time for lunch,
she said with a smile. Quickly, she ran back inside and tore the screen door open. Grace and Yevgeny were on the couch, watching TV. Patsy expectantly looked around for any sight of food, but nothing was there.
Did Ethan not cook lunch or something?
She asked.
Well, why would he?
Grace replied.
I think it was kind of obvious it was just a one-time deal. Breakfast, and then we have to fend for ourselves. That's not fair, though, Patsy exclaimed. He got our hopes up. He misled us. I don't think he really did that,
said Grace. If you are hungry, why do you not make something yourself and then leave us alone? We cannot hear our show, Yevgeny barked.
Yevgeny, please, that's not going to help anything,
said Grace.
But he does have a point, though, Patsy. If you want some food, cook something yourself. There's food in the pantry and in the fridge. There's lots to choose from.
And none of it is expired as far as I know, Yevgeny added. Patsy turned around, eyeing the pantry. She had never cooked on her own before, but how hard could it be? Her mother did it every day for 5 people. Clearly it couldn't be that complicated. Patsy opened the pantry door, eyeing the food inside. She pulled out a jar of jelly and a jar of peanut butter.
Nothing wrong with the classic PB&J,
She smiled. She began scanning the pantry for the bread, but nothing was there.
Where's the bread, guys?
She asked.
It's in the freezer.
Grace replied. Patsy opened up the freezer and pulled out the bread. She grabbed 2 pieces and pulled them out, but immediately dropped them to the floor.
Ah! It's all frozen!
She exclaimed. Yes, this is what a freezer does. Now will you please be quiet? Barked Yevgeny, sounding indignant with the last sentence. Patsy picked the 2 pieces up, then walked over to the sink. A stream of hot water burst from the faucet.
You're not seriously gonna wash the bread off, are you?
Asked Grace.
It was on the floor for like 2 seconds. It's fine to eat. You know what they say, 5-second rule. Ew, no, that's gross. It was on the dirty floor,
Patsy shrieked.
I'm gonna wash it off. You don't really wash bread, Patsy,
said Grace.
That's not really how it's done.
Do you even know what you are doing? Asked Yevgeny.
Of course I do. It's easy.
Patsy snapped back.
Now if you'll excuse me, I'm gonna go thaw this bread out.
Patsy threw the 2 pieces of bread away and grabbed 2 new ones. She looked around for a way to warm it up. On the counter, she spotted the toaster. Plunk, plunk. The 2 pieces of bread tumbled into the slots. Patsy pulled the lever down, and the inside shone bright orange. Memories of breakfast from back home flooded into her mind. Always having to wait for the toast to pop up was so annoying. What if there was a way to make it go faster? She looked down at the dial, which was on 4.
4? She asked herself. That's gonna take forever. Maybe if I put it up to 9.
Patsy flipped the dial to 9 and sat back and waited. A minute later, she began staring at the toaster, wondering what was taking the bread so long.
Shouldn't it have been done by now?
She asked.
Bread takes time to cook,
Grace said. And you would know this how? Asked Yevgeny.
Oh, yeah, I see how it is.
Grace snapped back.
Because I'm a farm girl, I have no idea what technology is. Oh, but you know, you're right. I totally forgot. We're all Amish people who are mortified by electricity and we're totally confused by them newfangled flying machines.
Yes, somebody is snippy today, Yevgeny groaned. The bread popped out of the toaster. Patsy looked over and was horrified to see 2 charred pieces of bread.
What happened here?
She squealed. Grace and Yevgeny turned around.
Did you set it to max or something?
Asked Grace.
No,
Patsy replied.
Only 9.
That is the max, Grace replied with a sigh.
Patsy, do you even know what you're doing? Be honest. It's okay if you don't.
Yevgeny let out a mighty laugh. You must be joking. This princess here has been so spoiled and pampered her whole life, she doesn't know how to do anything. She wouldn't know how to breathe if she didn't have to do it to live.
That is so not true, Yevgeny.
Patsy snapped. Oh, I think it is, Yevgeny laughed. You are the princess stuck in the tower, cut off from how normal people live their lives. You do not know how to take care of yourself. You need mommy and daddy to care for you all the time. Oh, I do not know how to take care of myself. Here I am like a little baby on the ground. Wah, wah. A hot wash of anger quickly covered Patsy. She could not let him get away with saying these things. Even if they were true, they were very hurtful.
You better stop that right now,
she ordered. Or what? Yevgeny jeered. You're going to order your daddy to hire a hitman on me? Or do you not know how to use phone?
I think she can take care of herself just fine, Yevgeny,
Grace interrupted.
Why not let her have a chance to prove it?
Yevgeny turned to look at Patsy. He removed his sunglasses, looking at her straight in the eye. For the first time, Patsy saw Yevgeny's eyes. They were large, round, blue, and expressive. The last thing she thought they would be, coming from someone with his demeanor and personality. They were oddly captivating to look at, which made her wonder why he kept them hidden behind the frames. Very well, said Yevgeny. You will have a chance today to prove that you know how to take care of yourself. You do chores, you do laundry, you do cleaning. You show us that you know what you are doing. And if you do, then I prove myself wrong. But if I win, then you will not hear the end of it.
Oh, come on, Grace groaned. If you're gonna bet, why not actually have some stakes? Bragging rights is nothing. This is reality TV. Things need to be big and exciting and important. Please, I don't want this to escalate more than it already is,
Patsy said in somewhat of a panic, but Grace wasn't to be deterred. She kept going.
I have an idea, she exclaimed. What if the loser has to do the winner's chores for the next 3 days? See? Wouldn't that be a great prize?
Yevgeny smiled a nasty smile at Patsy. I think it sounds just fine, said Yevgeny. I know that if you lose, when you lose, you will have to do my chores and you will not know how to do them. But I am not doing this for completion. I am doing this because I would like a good laugh. The hot wash of anger was now a boiling river of rage. Patsy could not hold it in any longer. She stormed right over to Yevgeny, thrusting her hand out.
Shake on it,
she said. Yevgeny grabbed her hand with a tight grip, shaking it aggressively. May the better person win, he said. First off, why do you not do laundry?
Because I've only got one dirty outfit,
she said. Well then, why not give your clothes a nice good sheen? Yevgeny replied. After all, you've accepted the challenge. You had better prove yourself if you want to win. With that, Patsy sheepishly walked up the stairs. What had she done? Deep down, she always knew she couldn't do this, but now that the challenge was started, there was no denying it. All of these chores may have looked easy, but she had never done a single one of them before in her life. It was always her parents that had to pick up after her or prepare her food. She never once did any of this on her own. Had everyone else already done this? Apparently so. She was just behind.
It's not gonna stay that way for long,
Patsy told herself.
By the end of the day, I'm gonna finally learn how to take care of myself.
Chapter 2. Lightening the Load.
This is ridiculous,
Patsy grumbled to herself.
These clothes aren't even dirty. They shouldn't get washed. It'll only ruin them further. Not like I'd expect Yevgeny to know that, but still, the point stands.
Patsy trudged along, basket of clothes in hand. With each step, she began to think over her bet with Yevgeny.
Why did I even make this bet in the first place?
She asked herself.
I know I'm a self-sustainable person. I know that I'm capable of doing things on my own. Do I really need to prove this to Yevgeny of all people? I guess I have no choice, though. Can't go back on my word.
Patsy herself had never been inside the laundry room before. In fact, had it not been for Dupovny outright saying that it existed, she wouldn't have known about it at all. All that was in the small, cramped room was a sleek new washer and dryer set, as well as a shelf filled with detergent and dryer sheets. Patsy looked at the shelf blankly. It may as well have been covered in ancient hieroglyphics.
Well, let's see,
she said to herself.
I've seen enough TV shows to know not to mix the reds with the whites. I don't want everything to turn pink. Well, that might be kind of nice, but it'd be very hard to coordinate.
Patsy dumped her basket of laundry right into the washer. She looked up, staring at the box of detergent.
I can't believe I need to use a whole one of these just for one load,
she said.
Oh well, if that's how it's done, who am I to complain? Sure can't change the system.
Patsy plucked the detergent right off the shelf, pouring the entire box into the washer. She slammed the hood down, started it up, and watched it go.
This is easy, she said. I can't believe they thought I couldn't do this. Boy, are they gonna be in for a shock when they see just how nice and clean my clothes are.
A minute or so passed by. Patsy remained ever fixated on the washing machine. To her, this felt like watching the outcome of a very anticipated sports tournament. Things were going fine, until she heard some banging. It began soft, then it became louder, and louder, and louder.
Is this all part of the laundry?
She asked herself.
When Mom does it, I don't remember hearing all of these noises.
She didn't have time to continue her thought, because before she knew it, the lid began popping up and down. Right away, Patsy knew something was wrong. Out from under the lid came a large white mass of suds. It began small, but quickly rose like bread in an oven. Before Patsy could rush over to slam the lid down, it overtook the entire lid, throwing it up, and an avalanche of soapy suds poured all over the top of the machine, but it didn't stop there. It grew even further, pouring onto the floor. Within a minute, it looked as though it had snowed right there in the laundry room.
This is bad! This is bad!
Patsy panted nervously.
What am I going to do? What are going to happen to my clothes? What's going to happen when everyone finds out about this? Oh no, oh no!
Patsy reached down and grabbed a large armful of suds. The bubbles quickly popped in her arms, but most of them remained intact. Looking around, Patsy tried to find a place to put them. She tried the garbage can next to the dryer, but it quickly was filled up after the first armful. When that didn't work, Patsy tried shoving the suds right back into the washer. However, by this time, it didn't do any good. The mass of suds was too expansive. Every time she put more back in, twice as much would pour right out. They kept on coming, with no signs of slowing down.
I am going to be in such trouble,
she whimpered. Then, out of nowhere, there was a knock at the door. Hey! Are you okay? A voice called out. It was Ethan's. The sound of it both relieved Patsy and made her even more on edge.
Yeah, everything's fine,
Patsy called out frantically. Are you sure? Asked Ethan. I could hear you out in the hall. Sounds like stuff's going wrong, huh?
No, everything's okay, Ethan. Leave me alone, please,
said Patsy. Just then, the door swung open. Ethan stood in the doorway, and immediately when he caught eye of the suds, Ethan's expression changed to that of horror, as though the room were covered in blood instead of soap. What's going on? What happened here? He asked.
I messed up, Ethan, okay?
Patsy replied while rushing to the door, slamming it shut.
I guess I put too much soap in or something. I don't know. I haven't done this before.
Well, how much soap did you use? Said Ethan. Patsy reached down and grabbed the box. At this point, it was wet and starting to fall apart. Nevertheless, Ethan got the message. Patsy, he said with a sigh, you're not supposed to use the entire box with each load, just a spoonful or so.
Yeah, I see that now,
Patsy barked. Hey, whoa, Ethan said, holding his arms up in a somewhat surrender position. You don't need to be all nasty about it. I'm trying to help you here. But if you don't want it, I guess I could go.
No, please don't leave. Please don't leave,
Patsy said nervously.
I'm sorry. What do I do? How do I fix this?
Well, for starters, said Ethan, you gotta turn the machine off, and fast. It's only gonna create more... But Ethan couldn't finish. Another avalanche of suds poured right out of the machine, bigger than the ones before it. By now, the cascading pile surrounding the washing machine was reaching up to their knees. Patsy dashed over to the machine like a bolt of lightning, frantically pushing the off button multiple times. The washing machine's whirring and stirring eventually slowed down and petered out. No more suds came from the machine. Still, the damage had been done. The inside looked like the tundras of Alaska. Big, fluffy piles of soap rolled all over the ground as far as the eye could see. Now then, said Ethan, there's the matter of taking care of all this stuff.
Yeah, how are we gonna do that? Asked Patsy. And how are we gonna do that without anybody finding out?
Well, if someone finds out, we're gonna have to be honest, Ethan replied.
No!
Patsy shrieked.
They can't know about this! No one can know!
Look, Patsy, I know that this is embarrassing. Still, you gotta...
No! That's not it!
Patsy interrupted.
I made this bet with Yevgeny, okay? He said that I'm not a self-sustainable person and that I don't know how to do anything for myself. So I made a bet with him. I knew I shouldn't have done that. He was right. I don't know anything.
Ethan trudged through the soap over to Patsy. He placed his arm on her shoulder, patting it twice. Don't be so hard on yourself, he told her. Everyone starts off like this. Nobody knows what they're doing the first time. Heck, you want to hear a funny story? When I was 9 years old, my dad was showing me how to wash the car. Me, being the little irrepressible scamp that I was, thought that when you washed the car, you had to take everything off of it, not just the dirt, but the paint as well. So I dug through the garage and found some paint thinner. And I began pouring it all over the hood of the car. Good thing my dad stopped me, otherwise we would have had one funny-looking car, huh?
You were 9 years old, though. I'm 18,
Patsy groaned.
I'm double the age you were when you were still learning how to do these things. Am I really this broken?
You're not broken, said Ethan. A little sheltered, maybe. Not broken. You can be taught. Isn't that the whole point of this bet?
For me, at least,
Patsy answered, hanging her head.
Something tells me that Yevgeny made it just to laugh at me.
That does seem like him, Ethan said with a nod. But that's not very nice, nor is it very becoming of a friend. A real friend would show you what to do. Patsy's eyes flew open.
A friend like you?
She asked. Ethan's smile faded away. His expression became cold and distant. I'm not so sure about this, he said with great hesitation. This whole thing's part of a bet to prove that you know what you're doing, right? Wouldn't me helping you out be, cheating?
It wouldn't really be cheating,
said Patsy.
After all, you'd be showing me what I need to do, and then I can prove that I can do it. Like you said, no one knows what they're doing the first time. If you show me what I need to do, though, I can show everybody that I can do it, and do it well at that. It's like learning a new language. You can't just expect to know Chinese all of a sudden. You need to hear someone else speak it in order to understand it, right?
Ethan began rubbing his chin, thinking the issue over very visibly. I guess you're right, he said finally. Do you really think that everyone's going to see eye to eye on this, though?
Well, if they have any common sense, they will,
Patsy said with a smile.
So what do you say, friend?
Patsy extended her hand forward. Ethan eyed it very closely. The issue was still running around in his mind. What could he do? Would it truly be fair to help Patsy with this bet? I mean, he said slowly, if all I'm doing is teaching you, I guess it'll be fine. But if anybody has a problem with this, I'm backing out immediately.
All right, sounds good to me,
Patsy exclaimed, shaking Ethan's hand.
Now, what to do about this here?
I guess we have no other choice but to toss it out or something, said Ethan. Hang on, I'll go downstairs and grab some garbage bags. Everything's gonna be okay, don't you worry. With that, Ethan threw the door open, leaping out into the hallway. Patsy closed the door behind him just as soon as he stepped over the threshold. She didn't want anybody to see what was going on inside. A minute passed, then another, each one feeling like an eternity to Patsy. Her heart was racing. If anybody had seen what was going on in here, she'd be the laughingstock of the house for sure. Everyone would call her a pampered, spoiled princess. And it wouldn't only be Yevgeny this time. Everyone else would join in on the fun. She would never be able to live it down. And her entire reputation on Foul Manor, and even her quest, would be overshadowed by her reputation of not knowing how to do simple household chores. Finally, she heard footsteps. A cold chill shot down her spine. Whose were they? If it was anyone but Ethan's, it would mean nothing but trouble. Hello in there, she heard Ethan's voice call out. I brought the garbage bags.
Hey, Ethan,
she heard another voice say.
Who are you talking to?
Oh, hi, Olivia, Ethan said with a squeak in his voice. I'm talking to Patsy. I'm...
Don't ruin this for me. Don't ruin this for me,
Patsy whispered. It was barely audible. Nevertheless, she hoped that Ethan could still hear her. We're, cleaning up in here, said Ethan. Yeah, cleaning up. Nothing more than that. Just cleaning up.
Do you need some help with any of it?
Olivia asked. No, everything's fine, Ethan said frantically. Why don't you go on your way then? You don't want to be bogged down with all this boring cleaning stuff, do you?
I mean, if you would like some help.
No, we really wouldn't. It's fine, Olivia, Ethan said frantically.
Now, go on. Okay, if you really don't want me here. Patsy immediately knew where this conversation was going. But before she could open the door and bring Ethan inside, Ethan exclaimed, No, that's not it at all. I swear, really. This is more of a two-person job, you know? And I want to be courteous and considerate. You really wouldn't want to get involved in this. It's kind of a messy situation, all things considered.
I understand, said Olivia. You two have fun, though.
With that, Patsy heard Olivia's footsteps going down the hall, getting quieter and quieter with time. Once they'd faded away, Ethan threw the door open, leapt back inside, then slammed the door behind him. I feel so dirty, he whimpered. I lied to her.
No, you didn't. That wasn't a lie at all,
Patsy explained.
You told her we were doing some cleaning up and that she wouldn't want to be involved in this situation. All of that was true.
It was a lie by omission, said Ethan. I don't do good with lying. Heavenly Father says we're not supposed to do that. Besides, I have really strong conviction when it comes to this stuff anyways. Ever since my mom caught me stealing candy from the candy bowl when I was 6 and then chewed me out for it, I've never been able to hold in a lie. I couldn't even hold in the truth about Santa for my little brothers. Boy, were they ever disappointed. But I couldn't let them be subjected to all those lies. I couldn't. And I still can't. Oh man, I'm feeling warm. I'm getting hot flashes. Everything's getting all blurry.
Snap out of it, man,
Patsy barked.
We have a job to do. You won't be any good like this.
I guess not, Ethan said with a quiver in his voice. I think I need to sit down for a minute.
Oh, get a grip, Ethan, please,
Patsy moaned.
You can do that when we're done with this, okay? This has a lot of urgency to it, you know?
Right, Ethan said, catching his breath. Okay, what I say we do is we take big armfuls of these piles of suds, jam them into these garbage bags, then we carry them out, throw them into the garbage bin, and no one will be any of the wiser. That won't be a lie, right?
Well, as long as you don't tell anybody that this is actually the lost skull of Atlantis or something,
said Patsy.
Really, if this was anything bad, I wouldn't have you do it, okay? This is supposed to be a learning experience, a good experience. We're not going to get anywhere by doing wrong things, right?
Right, Ethan nodded in agreement. And you wouldn't steer us wrong, right?
Of course, no lying, I promise,
Patsy said.
Scout's honor.
Were you ever a scout?
No, I thought that was just an expression.
I mean, it is, but that's not important. We have work to do, don't we?
Yes, we do.
Ethan and Patsy spent the next few minutes filling each of the bags with a mountain of suds. Eventually, only the little bit of debris remained. I think this is good enough, said Ethan. I'll run these bags down while you sweep up the debris, okay?
Okay. Wait, what good'll that do?
The way I see it, I think it'll pop all the bubbles. Now you have fun, okay?
Okay.
Once Ethan left, Patsy looked around, looking for the broom. Eventually, she found it on the other side of the garbage can. She grabbed it, and then stared at it blankly. She had seen her mother sweep hundreds and hundreds of times, but she didn't retain any of the information.
How do these things work again?
She asked herself. Ethan returned shortly to see Patsy jabbing and poking at the suds with the broom. No, that's not how you do it at all, Ethan said.
I knew it!
Patsy cried.
I'm hopeless!
You're not hopeless, Ethan snapped back. You just don't know what you're doing yet. Remember, this is all part of a teaching experience. If you're so hard on yourself, you're not going to process any of the information.
So you're saying I've been so hard on myself this whole time? That's why I haven't been able to learn anything that people my age should know how to do by now?
Maybe. I don't know. I don't really know you all that well, Ethan said, starting to sound nervous again. Let's move on from this, okay? I'm sure the suds will pop on their own accord anyways. Now, what's the next chore you gotta do?
I don't know. Yevgeny only said I should do laundry,
Patsy replied.
So maybe as my teacher, you could decide what I do next.
See? That's using your noodle, Ethan beamed while tapping his head.
Let's see, what could we have you do? Aha! Why not mowing the lawn?
Mowing the lawn?
Patsy scoffed.
Are you sure? Shouldn't we start off with something simpler?
There's nothing simpler than mowing the lawn, Patsy, Ethan chirped. Come on, I'll show you how it's done. Before Patsy could protest, Ethan grabbed her arm and pulled her out of the room. There she was, the last little bit of her childhood slipping away. If all went according to plan, by the end of the day, Patsy would finally, once and for all, be a fully fledged adult. Chapter 3. The Pit Stop. Ethan was outside in the backyard, tapping his foot, slowly losing his patience. Where is she? He asked himself. It's been 10 minutes. Can't be that hard to find a lawnmower. Just as he said that, Patsy pushed the lawnmower out into the backyard, her face red, and her forehead covered with sweat.
I didn't think this stuff was so hard to move,
she said while grunting.
Why does it have to be so difficult? Aren't people supposed to move these things to cut the grass?
Ethan walked over and took one look at the lawnmower. I think I see your problem, he chuckled awkwardly. You've got the brake still on. Patsy looked up defeated.
Ugh!
She squealed.
Do you really mean that I've been pushing this with the brake on this whole time?
Really, I'm more surprised you didn't stop to check first, said Ethan.
I'm a wreck,
Patsy wailed. No, Patsy, it's fine, Ethan said frantically. You're new at this, remember? This is all expected. You're okay. Trust me. Patsy nodded and gave a small sigh.
I suppose so. Well, let's get started. If I know anything from watching TV, all you have to do is pull the cord on these things.
Pull it real hard, Ethan said as he turned his back to her. Ethan expected to hear the sudden sounds of a lawnmower's engine, but heard nothing. He heard the cord over and over again, but the engine wasn't starting.
I don't get it. What's happening? Am I doing something else wrong?
Patsy moaned. No, I don't think so, Ethan replied. He walked over to the lawnmower and checked around. I think I see the problem, Ethan said.
What, is the other brake on?
Patsy moaned. No, Patsy, that's not it at all, Ethan replied. It's out of gas. I guess Mr. Dupovny didn't think to fill it up before he loaded it in here.
So what do we do?
That's easy. We gotta go down to the gas station, get some gas, and bring it back here. Only problem is, we don't have the keys. Curse my chivalrous nature.
Maybe we could ask one of the others for the keys,
Patsy suggested.
They wouldn't hog them all to themselves, would they?
I don't mean to be mean, but I think Yevgeny would, said Ethan. Besides, he doesn't want you getting help with this at all, right?
Right.
So he wouldn't lend us the keys under any circumstances, right?
Right. But I'm sure someone else would.
Maybe. We may as well go in and check. Not gonna get anything done standing out here. The two of them walked back into the house. The moment they stepped through the garage door, they saw Lance walking over to them with a book under his arm.
Hey, Lance!
Patsy beamed.
What are you doing here?
I live here, he replied flatly. Can't I walk around my own house whenever I want?
I mean, I guess you can,
Patsy replied awkwardly.
It's just that, well...
She trailed off, muttering some unintelligible words. Hey, Lance, can we borrow the keys? Ethan asked. We need to go get some gas for the lawnmower and... Yeah, alright, Lance said, cutting him off. Sorry if I'm rushing you. I want some peace and quiet, so if I push you out of the house, it's nothing personal. What's wrong? Is there something going on here? Asked Ethan. Well, apparently, Lance explained, it's customary to watch your TV as loud as possible, even when people are trying to read their copy of Bridge Over River Kwai. Ugh. I know she means well, but it's highly inconsiderate.
Yeah, that's bad,
Patsy said slowly.
So can we have the keys?
Knock yourselves out, Lance said. He reached into his pocket and dropped the keys into Patsy's hand.
Were you gonna go somewhere?
She asked. No, to be honest, I was gonna sit in the car and read. But I guess I can't do that now, so I may as well go upstairs to my room. I'm just hoping that Jeremy doesn't come back from his walk early. I don't know how he could walk out in this heat, Ethan said. Yeah, we're done here, Lance said as he turned his back to the two of them walking upstairs. That guy's so unsociable, Ethan said, somewhat appalled. Oh well, he shrugged. Let's get on to the car. I'm driving.
I would think so,
said Patsy.
I don't have my license yet.
The two of them piled into the car and immediately pulled out. The drive over was oddly silent. The stagnant air was palpable. Patsy was starting to feel unnerved, so suddenly she blurted out,
You said you have a girlfriend back home, right?
She couldn't believe what she just said. Sure, she was always fascinated with romance, but this was hardly the time to bring it up. What surprised her more than her sudden outburst was what Ethan said back. Yeah, I do. She's the greatest girl in the world, I tell ya. Oh, Emily, I miss ya.
How'd you two meet?
She asked. Oh, that's a great story, said Ethan. You see, it was 4 years ago now, I believe. Her family moved in from Queen Creek, Arizona. Yeah, not too many people move into Linden, but it happens sometimes. She was new to the temple, and they were new to town. They didn't know anybody, so I decided to introduce myself. I agreed to show her around, and eventually I started developing feelings for her, so I asked her out. And she said yes. And so we've been together ever since. We hit it off. We've got everything in common. We like the same things, have the same taste in movies, love the same music, have the same goals in life. I'm telling you, it's a match made in heaven. And actually, funny thing, when I first offered to go show her around town, she thought I was trying to flirt with her. I was trying to be friendly and all, but hey, I guess, it all works in mysterious ways, right?
Oh, that's so romantic,
Patsy sighed.
That's what I want when I find myself a man. I want to have that sweet fairy tale-like story.
Yeah, those are great, Ethan said with a small chuckle. Yeah, I miss her a lot. Tell ya, she's the girl for me.
Are you gonna call her on the show?
I'm gonna try. Lately when I've been calling her, she hasn't really been picking up, and I think she's been a little busy, Ethan said. Patsy looked over at Ethan's direction. He wasn't blinking, and his smile seemed frozen on his face. While normally his smile was always plastered on his face, this one felt eerier, almost as if it was artificial. Feeling somewhat disturbed, Patsy immediately stopped the conversation, once again causing the car to go eerily quiet, with only the sound of the tires and some passing cars outside creating any sort of sound. When they arrived at the gas station, Ethan and Patsy stepped out, grabbing the gas can from the trunk.
How do we do this?
Patsy asked. So you've never even gotten gas for a car? Asked Ethan.
Of course not,
Patsy exclaimed.
Why would I? I don't even have a license yet.
Right, sorry, Ethan said quickly. As they were filling up the can, another car pulled up in front of them. It was old, rusted, and beaten up. A tattered Confederate flag bumper sticker was barely hanging onto the back. It was as if many people had tried to rip it off. A couple stepped out, both overweight and both greasy looking. Their faces were red with what seemed to be anger, and they started screaming at each other, in French.
Why are they yelling in French?
Patsy whispered. Ethan shushed Patsy frantically. As the can was filling up, he looked up at the couple every so often, making sure that they didn't see them. As soon as the can had been filled, he threw the nozzle back onto its holder, put the cap on the can, and jumped inside. Patsy followed, somewhat confused.
What's the matter? She asked. Is it because they're French or something?
No, said Ethan. I don't have a lot of good interaction with angry strangers. Especially ones like these, where all they do is yell and they look like hill folk. Nothing against hill folk, of course. I'm sure they're nice people. It's just, I've got some experiences with those.
Really? What kinds of experiences?
Patsy asked. I'll tell you on the way back, Ethan replied. Ethan then began to regale Patsy a story about how when he was first going door to door spreading the word of the Book of Mormon, he knocked on the door to a farmhouse. The farmer did not take well to Ethan's visit and began pelting him with rocks.
Yeah, that doesn't sound very nice. People can be so mean and nasty when it comes to things like that,
said Patsy. I know, right? Said Ethan. I've been trying to get past that. It's a real shortcoming of mine. Nevertheless, it's kind of there, and, well, you don't blame me for not wanting to get involved in that kind of conflict, right? Especially when those people seemed a little on edge.
Oh, not at all, not at all, Patsy replied. But why are they speaking French?
I think it's a Louisiana thing, Ethan answered. I mean, the town's name is Beaumont-sur-Mer. It kind of has to have some French influence, right?
I guess so,
Patsy shrugged. The two of them got back, quickly filled up the lawnmower, and off it went. Patsy began effortlessly pushing the lawnmower forward, cutting the grass as she went along.
This is so easy,
she exclaimed. Make sure you get it nice and even, though, Ethan replied. Suddenly, the glass door slid open. Out stepped Amanda.
What's going on here?
Amanda asked.
I'm mowing the lawn, Amanda! Look at me, I'm doing it! I'm actually doing it!
Patsy cried.
Congratulations?
Amanda asked, confused. Patsy hasn't mowed the lawn before, Ethan chimed in. This is a pretty big step for her, I'd say.
And what are you doing out here, Ethan?
She asked. Well, I'm watching her do it, making sure she, Ethan was about to say, in case she needed help, but then remembered that if Yevgeny heard anything about Patsy receiving help, it would be all over for her. Besides, he promised her that he would keep this a secret. The last thing he would want to do is break a promise for a friend. He stammered.
It's his house, too,
Patsy called out.
He doesn't have to explain himself. I mean, I suppose so,
Amanda said, rolling her eyes.
It just seems so weird with you watching her do chores, not even asking to help out.
And then, Amanda's eyes went wide.
Oh, wait, never mind. That bet. Sorry. Yeah. I guess it's a good thing you're here making sure she doesn't receive any help, Ethan. You're a good, upstanding referee.
Thank you, Ethan said with an awkward chuckle. Amanda went over down to the river, sitting at the bank and dipping her feet in.
I'm just here to wade my feet in the water,
she said.
On a hot day like this, I knew it would feel so good.
And does it? Ethan asked.
Yeah, it does,
Amanda replied awkwardly. Within no time at all, Patsy had finished. Despite the fact that the lawn was not really long in the first place, it definitely looked noticeably different. All that's left for us, you, to do now, is to cook dinner, Ethan exclaimed.
I can't wait! The first time I've ever cooked! This is going to be so exciting!
Despite Patsy's eagerness for the job, this proved to be far, far more difficult than she had expected. She almost overglazed the ham, nearly dropped the carrots onto the floor, and had to make several trips to the confessional to explain her frustration. Ethan was able to hold it all together in the end, though, basically doing most of the work, while Patsy did more menial labor. Once they were about to put it in the oven, Jeremy walked over into the kitchen.
Hey, guys, he called out. What's going on here? You guys making dinner or something?
That's kind of obvious, Jeremy,
Patsy said with a forced smile.
Hey, well, I'm just asking here, man,
Jeremy said, throwing his arms up.
Hey, ham, nice. Mind if I sneak a taste?
Hey, that's not a good idea, Ethan chimed in. This ham hasn't even been cooked yet. Who knows what kind of stuff would be in there?
What do you mean? Jeremy asked. You mean you're trying to poison me or something? That's not cool, man. Not cool at all. I thought we were buds, and bud and girl bud, you know?
Patsy bit her tongue. She wanted to explain to Jeremy that not only did she barely know him, but she was somewhat put off by him. However, using every ounce of her self-control, she was able to remain quiet. No, it's just not healthy to eat raw meat, Jeremy, Ethan explained. There's a lot of pesticides in there, and maybe even parasite eggs.
Wait, really?
Jeremy asked, completely surprised.
Where'd you get this meat, man? There's gotta be some rancid, bad, stank meat.
That's all meat, Jeremy. All meat comes like that. Because animals don't have the same hygiene or health standards as we do?
Right, yeah, I knew that,
Jeremy stammered.
So, call me when dinner's ready, okay? 'Cause, I don't want to miss any of this. You guys did a good job here, it seems.
Oh, Ethan stammered.
I was the one that cooked this, right, Ethan?
Jeremy looked unexpectedly, and so did Patsy. Ethan was fighting with himself, internally pleading to try to back up Patsy's story, but he couldn't. For once he was being asked to lie.
It's okay. I don't care who made it. All I care is that it tastes good, said Jeremy. So like I said, calm me down.
With that, Jeremy turned around and trotted upstairs. Oh, it's such a relief. I almost had to lie to him, Ethan said through deep breaths as though he had just defused a time bomb.
Hey, it's okay, Ethan. All we have to do is cook this and serve it up. Then I'll win the bet and Yevgeny won't ever bother me anymore about this.
I sure hope you're right, Patsy. I hope this is all worth it.
I know it is,
Patsy beamed.
I know that no matter what, everything's gonna be A-okay.
Chapter 4. The Plan Unravels.
Everyone, dinner!
Patsy called out. No sooner did she finish that sentence did Jeremy dash right into the kitchen.
Awesome!
He exclaimed.
I'm so hungry, man! Like, I can't even stand it! I think my stomach is literally eating itself!
Are you so sure about that? Lance asked as he stepped in. You know, if it was literally eating itself, you would probably be dead within an hour.
I don't feel safe in my own home, dude!
Jeremy said, throwing his hands up as usual. Within a minute, everyone else had entered the kitchen, staring at the amazing display that was sitting before them.
Wow, this looks pretty good,
Grace said with a smile.
You must have worked really hard, Patsy. Indeed I did,
Patsy smiled.
I worked so hard.
And I'd say it all paid off, Ethan said with an awkward chuckle. Yevgeny looked over and raised an eyebrow, but then looked back at the dinner.
Something must be wrong with this, he muttered. There's no way that you of all people would have been able to make this.
Oh, stop it, Yevgeny,
Amanda sighed.
She is just as capable as anyone else as making this dinner.
I disagree, Yevgeny said with a roll of his eyes. She doesn't even know how to do the dishes. How would she be able to make something like this?
Hey, enough of this, man. Let's get on to eating,
Jeremy called out as he ran towards the food.
Patsy
said with a wave of her hand.
Just a second. Don't go grabbing stuff with your hand. That's disgusting.
Ethan reached into the drawer behind him and grabbed a large fork. Bon appetit, he said as he handed it to Jeremy.
What does that mean, dude?
Jeremy asked. Ethan looked back, utterly puzzled. You're joking, right?
Well, excuse me for not knowing any French,
Jeremy barked.
It's not like I'm gonna need it.
Yeah, definitely not, Lance said sarcastically. It's not like we're in Louisiana, the most French-speaking state in the entire nation, or it's not like our town's name is Beaumont-sur-Mer, and it's not like all the people in our parish have at least some exposure to the French language, including about 10% of households using it just as often, if not more often, than English.
Whatever, man, it's not like I need it or anything,
Jeremy barked back. Lance put his face in his hands. Oh, I fear for our future generation.
So that explains why that couple we saw was yelling at each other in French,
Patsy whispered.
That must be common around Beaumont-sur-Mer.
I guess it's common around all of Louisiana or something, Ethan whispered back. Everyone had dished themselves up and walked over to the table. Everyone stared at their food, but no one took a bite. Well, who's going to eat first? Yevgeny asked.
Well, considering the fact that this whole thing was your idea, Yevgeny,
Grace began with a smile,
I'd say you should eat it.
But what if it's poisonous or not cooked all the way?
Well, then I guess that's your doing because you're the one that started this whole bet, right?
Yevgeny looked up and glared at Grace. If I die, you do not get invited to my funeral. Yevgeny plunged his fork into the ham, barely even cutting it. He shoved a large piece into his mouth and chewed very loudly. I do not believe this, he said, his mouth hanging open. It is actually good. It's so flavorful. As soon as he said that, everyone else began eating.
Wow!
Patsy exclaimed in surprise.
I'm good at this! Yeah, I'd say that's a pretty good job you did there,
Olivia said, somewhat stammering.
I'm really surprised, Patsy. I didn't know you could do this. Neither did I,
Patsy cheered. And we're all really proud of you, Ethan smiled. Also very proud of you that we don't even need to discuss how you did it, right? This is only one of your tasks, Yevgeny said, raising his finger. What about all the other things you did?
Well,
Patsy replied.
as a matter of fact, I did the laundry and mowed the lawn already today. It's true,
Olivia chimed in.
I overheard her doing the laundry. I don't know what was going on in there, but it sounded like they were getting it all done. And I can vouch for her on the lawn mowing,
Amanda chimed in.
I saw her out back doing it. She was doing a pretty good job.
I'm rather surprised she was able to do it, Yevgeny said softly. Patsy looked up, an eyebrow raised. She didn't dare say a word. Well, why is that, Yevgeny? Ethan asked cautiously, leaning in close. Oh, no reason, Yevgeny said in a coy but also sinister tone. It's just that I checked the lawnmower this morning, and it was out of gas. So I guess you went over to the gas station and got some gas?
Yes, I did. Lance let us borrow the keys.
Patsy smiled. Why did you let a loser drive the car? Yevgeny yelled. Lance didn't turn to look at Yevgeny. He simply stared back at his food. Calm down there, Dolph Lundgren. Save it for the after-match interviews, okay? You let them borrow the car when they had no right to do so? Yes, I did. Because it's not your car, it's our car. All 8 of us. It's only that some of them can't drive it. Now, are you done whining? Good. Now let me get on with my meal. Yevgeny wasn't satisfied with this. He pointed his fork at Patsy. And you drove the car when you were not supposed to? Hey, hang on a second. Let's calm down here. Take a deep breath, Ethan said, trying to sound calm. Like Lance said, he was within his right to let us borrow the car. Besides, I did the driving because, Patsy doesn't have a license.
You don't have a license?
Jeremy laughed.
That's so pathetic.
Do you have a license? Lance asked.
Nah, my permit expired. But I'm just saying, it's kind of pathetic.
Lance shook his head. Oh, irony. How wonderful you are.
That's awfully rude to chastise her for that. You're being quite the hypocrite, Jeremy.
Amanda spat.
Really, I would expect more from you.
You would? Lance asked. Do you even know this man?
Guys, please, come on,
Olivia said softly.
We're supposed to be having a nice dinner.
Olivia trailed off when she realized that no one was paying attention to her. Instead, she busied herself with her side salad, hoping that nobody noticed her failed attempt to intervene.
Wait, I'm confused,
Grace cried.
Does Patsy getting help from Ethan count as her breaking the rules? 'Cause she can't drive on her own.
I would give her mercy on this one, Yevgeny replied. I am a merciful man after all. Yes, Yevgeny, we all know, said Lance. You're in line to be the next pope, we understand. I am not Catholic, I am Russian Orthodox, said Yevgeny. Lance shook his head. Why is it that no one understands sarcasm around here? Well, that's good, Ethan beamed. See, Patsy? Looks like you won in the end after all. You're fully capable of doing all this stuff, except for driving, of course, but I'm sure you're going to fix that once Foul Manor's over, right?
Yeah, I think so,
said Patsy.
Driving is hard, though. I've already failed 2 of my tests.
So have I,
Jeremy laughed.
During my first test, I was backing around the corner, but I didn't look where I was going and I drove right into traffic. We got hit by a bus.
Nobody else laughed. They stared directly at Jeremy.
Were you guys okay?
Olivia asked, nervously.
Oh yeah, it was fine. But the bus totally rammed into our trunk, and if anyone was back there, they totally would have died. It was so funny.
Do you know what the term funny actually means?
Amanda scoffed.
Even I don't think I would want to be in a situation like that,
Grace cried. I mean, I'm all for thrills and adventure, but that's way too much.
Yeah, they said I couldn't do my driving test at that place anymore,
Jeremy continued.
Now we have to go to the other one across town, but you know what? It's worth it. That way, I don't get any weird looks from the people working at the desks,
No, I don't know, Lance replied. But that's because I'm a safe driver.
All right, you two, enough is enough,
Amanda barked. You're one to talk, you're only fueling the fire, Lance said.
No, I mean it, enough from all of us,
Amanda said, starting to sound incensed.
Everybody, please, let's all enjoy this dinner, okay?
Patsy said. Everyone resumed their eating. A minute of silence fell. Then all of a sudden, Amanda said,
You know, now that I think of it, Ethan, you were there with Patsy when she was mowing the lawn too, right? Was that some kind of overflow from helping her get the gas?
Like a deer in headlights, Ethan froze. Well, he stammered. Hang on a moment, said Lance. You know, you were also there when she was trying to get the keys, too. Maybe you were trying to help her out with driving all the way back then, too. Ethan continued to stammer. Patsy looked over, watching with bated breath. Was Ethan about to give away her secret? Was everything they had worked for about to be exposed?
And I don't mean to cause any more trouble or fuel this fire or nothing,
Olivia added nervously.
but you were also there when she was washing her clothes, right? So what's going on here?
And wait, Jeremy exclaimed. You were also there when she was cooking, too. I don't think we need Beaumont Simaire's equivalent of Sherlock Holmes to see what's going on here, said Lance. Ethan, I want you to be honest with us. Have you been helping Patsy do her household chores? I would like to know this, Yevgeny said with a devious smile. Because if this is in fact true, this means that I was right. That means that she is not capable of taking care of herself at all. Now it was Patsy's turn to stammer. She and Ethan looked at each other, unsure of what to say.
Oh my gosh!
Grace exclaimed.
You totally helped her! You cheated! You totally cheated!
That is way bad, man, Jeremy sneered.
Why would you even do that? You were supposed to fight fair.
I am very disappointed, said Yevgeny, but I am not at all surprised. For you see, I understood that this would happen. Why would you, a spoiled, pampered girl, even be able to lift a finger to do anything? Why would you even be willing? Obviously, you need to get the tired working-class man to do it for you. It's just like what my parents went through in the Soviet Union. Hey, whoa! Ethan said, standing up from his seat. Let's not go comparing each other to communist dictatorships, okay? Let's all take a breath, finish dinner, then we'll talk about it. No, we will not do that, Yevgeny said, also standing up from his seat. We will be talking about this now, but I don't want to hear it from you. Yevgeny pointed his finger right in Patsy's face. Patsy Maluha, did you, or did you not, cheat and get Ethan's help? Chapter 5. The truth will set you free.
All right, I admit it,
Patsy exclaimed, holding back tears.
I didn't know how to wash my clothes, and I put too much soap in the washer, and the whole room filled up with suds. I didn't know how to move the lawnmower because I left the brake on. I don't know how to drive, and I don't know how to cook either. Ethan had to help me do everything. I had to go take so many breaks and run to the confessional to vent my frustrations.
Patsy buried her face in her hands.
Satisfied?
Very, Yevgeny sneered. Looks like I was right after all. Little Princess Patsy didn't know how to do anything. Just as I had suspected. Hang on now. Don't be so hard on her, Ethan said. She did do a lot of these things on her own. Once I showed her how to run the washing machine, she was able to do it just fine. I didn't even have to tell her what to do for the dryer. Once she lifted the brake on the lawnmower and of course put gas in it, she didn't even need any advice when it came to mowing the lawn. We can't really blame her for the license thing. That's just something she legally can't do yet. And as for the meal, yeah, that one was a little bit of a bust, I'll admit it. But let's face it, who here immediately knew what to do the very first time they tried to do something? I'm not even talking about chores. Lance, when you first learned to read War and Peace or Huckleberry Finn, were you good at it right away, or did you struggle with some of the big words and old-timey themes? Lance stared straight ahead. Well, considering the fact that I was 9, of course I struggled, but, you know, I learned to accept those and understand those in time. Exactly! Ethan exclaimed. And Amanda, how long did it take for you to start learning about art and culture?
Well, I didn't understand it right away,
Amanda began slowly. And Yevgeny, Ethan said, standing forward. How long did it take for you to learn English? I knew Russian first because I was born in Vladivostok, Yevgeny replied. Exactly, and did you learn English as soon as you tried? No, it took a while, Yevgeny answered, petering off at the end of his sentence. Though he couldn't see Yevgeny's eyes through his dark sunglasses, he knew that a wash of shame was spreading over them. You see? You see? Ethan exclaimed. Patsy is no different. Yeah, she was a little sheltered. I think even she would admit that.
Yeah, I would.
Patsy whimpered.
It's not my fault, though. That's just how I was raised.
Exactly, said Ethan. But she's learning, okay? She's trying to get better. She's trying to improve herself. She can't do that right away. What she needs is a little bit of education. And hey, when she got that, she proved she could do it. Things take time, okay? Yeah, she's a bit behind all of us, but does that make her any less of a person? Another hushed period of silence fell upon the room. No one said a word for what felt like an eternity. Finally, Yevgeny stepped forward. Perhaps, in fact, I was wrong, Patsy, he said. He extended his hand, expecting Patsy to shake it. Perhaps you could find it in your heart to forgive me, because I have indeed made a mistake. I am very, very much sorry. Patsy looked up at Yevgeny, then down at his hand, then back at Yevgeny.
It's okay, Yevgeny,
she said.
As long as we can be friends now.
Shake the hand first, then we are friends, said Yevgeny. Patsy laughed, but Yevgeny didn't. He was dead serious about this. Not wasting any time, Patsy jumped out of her seat and aggressively shook Yevgeny's hand. There we are, said Yevgeny. Now, let us finish eating, and let us not talk about this again unless need be.
I'm glad you learned to accept responsibility for your mistakes.
Amanda smiled.
You're really growing too, Yevgeny.
I want you to be quiet now, Yevgeny barked as he shoved his mouth full of ham.
He is so sensitive.
Look who's talking, Lance muttered.
It's good to see that everything's okay now.
Olivia chuckled awkwardly. Yeah. Are you doing okay, Patsy? Ethan asked.
Of course I am,
Patsy replied.
Thank you so much for helping me out, Ethan. That really meant a lot to me.
Hey, anytime, said Ethan.
I got one question for you, though,
Patsy said. Ethan looked over, somewhat intrigued. Yeah, what?
Well, do you think that when I'm capable of doing these household skills, that's going to make me a more attractive potential partner?
She asked, her eyes twinkling.
A guy likes a girl who can take care of herself, right? So when I eventually meet that special someone, and he knows I can cook, I can clean and all that, do you think he'd be more interested?
Ethan froze. This was not at all what he was expecting to hear. I don't know, he said slowly, unsure of what to say. Every guy's different, I suppose. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm really hungry here. Before Patsy could say anything else, Ethan shoveled the rest of his salad into his mouth, hardly able to keep it all in without chewing with his mouth open.
I guess this is a good sign for our group,
Olivia said with a smile.
It shows we can resolve conflict in the end. So I guess that no matter what happens, everything's gonna be okay in the end.
I'd sure like to think so, Jeremy smiled.
And so would I,
said Grace. Grace lifted up her water glass.
To our little group here, and so that we never have another fight like this.
That's quite unrealistic, Lance interjected. Given the fact that we're all essentially strangers coming from different backgrounds and different beliefs, being forced to live under one roof, in front of a whole bunch of cameras. Hey man, that's enough of that, Ethan said with a wave of his hand. Just raise your glass like the rest of us, come on. Lance looked around the table. Everyone, even Yevgeny, had their glass raised. With a heavy sigh, Lance grabbed his glass and half-heartedly raised it above his head. Everyone clinked them together and drank whatever was in there. Even Jeremy, who had already drank in everything in his glass minutes ago. Over at the Foul Manor headquarters house, Dupovny was watching everything from one of the monitors in the main room. I'm really happy with what I'm seeing here, I tell you, he said with a smile. Everything's coming up nice. I tell you, everyone around here's gonna love all this drama. And if they think this is the last little bit of what's gonna happen, then they got no idea. Well, sir, the man in the chair said, that Lance guy seemed to understand the situation quite well. He only thinks he does, Alex, Dupovny said with a smile. None of them understand what's happening. None of them understand what's going on. Hey, have you seen Martha around here? I need to ask her something. Oh, I think I saw her out back, Alex said, looking back at the monitor. Excellent, Duchovny said with a chuckle. He walked out the back door and saw, standing in the backyard, a woman in a blue pantsuit. Her fiery red hair draped over her back. Her bright green eyes looked tired, but then again, they always look tired. Hey, Martha, you got a second? Duchovny called out. I gotta go, the woman said to whoever she was talking to. She hung up the phone and turned to Duchovny. Yes, Mr. Duchovny, what is it? I just wanted to see, how are our friends doing? Duchovny said, stepping closer. Everyone's in position and accounted for, sir, Martha replied. I'm just not sure about this whole plan. Duchovny stopped in place and raised an eyebrow. Oh? He asked. And why is that? Surely you're being paid enough. Surely this is exciting enough for you. Come on now, tell me what's wrong. Martha looked up to see Duchovny give her a somewhat puppy dog expression. It doesn't seem right, sir, she replied. This seems so intense and so unnatural. Are you sure we should be doing this? Martha, 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 Duchovny said, shaking his head. This is what foul men is all about. Surely you knew that when you signed on to the show? Not necessarily, sir, Martha answered. You were oddly secretive about the entire project from anyone who wanted to get the job. Yeah, that's understandable, said Duchovny. After all, there's a lot going into this show that only I know about. Well, at first only I knew about it. Then I, out of the goodness of my heart, decided to tell y'all about it and get you on the same page as me. That way, the show can come as good as possible, right? Don't want no one left behind. Yes, I suppose so, Martha muttered, hanging her head slightly. Last chance, though. Are you sure about this? I'm absolutely, positively, 100,000% sure, Duchovny said, winking at her. It's time we get the ball rolling. Only a little bit longer of everybody getting to know everybody else and the audience getting mixed in with the cast, and then it's showtime. And hey, if you're ever feeling all worried about this again, Duchovny continued, now with his arm around Martha's shoulder, you can always come talk to me. Old Jesse Duchovny's always got an ear open for those working for him, especially for his director of communications. Thank you, Mr. Duchovny, Amanda said with a forced smile. That means a lot. You seem kinda tired, Duchovny said. Do you need a drink or something? I guess a Fresca would do, Martha said, starting to smile. Hey, there we go, Duchovny beamed. He turned to the house. Cameron, get on out here! Suddenly, the back door flew open. A short, chubby blonde kid with thick glasses ran right to Duchovny's side, like a dog waiting for their master's next orders. What's it gonna be, Mr. Duchovny? What do you need me for? Hey, calm down there, Cameron, Duchovny said with a smile. You don't gotta be so frantic about all this stuff. Take a deep breath. You're only gonna overwork yourself. And what good would a personal assistant be if he was so burnt out he couldn't even lift a pencil? Yeah, I know, said Cameron. I'm so excited to work here, though. I can't help it. What do you need me to do? Do you need me to go call somebody? Do you need me to arrange another limo? What'll it be? Hey, Cameron, said Duchovny. You ever heard of these things called periods and commas? They're not optional, you know. Helps you not go into one big run-on sentence. Right, Cameron said with deep breaths. What do you want me to do, Mr. Duchovny? Whatever it is, I'll do it. Well, Martha here needs a Fresca. Can you go into the fridge and get her one? I'm on it, sir! With that, Cameron turned around and dashed back into the house. Seconds later, he ran out with a can of Fresca. I got one. Here it is, Martha. He shoved the can in Martha's hands. He also reached behind him and grabbed another. I got one for you too, Mr. Duchovny. You know, just in case you wanted one. I appreciate it, Cameron, Duchovny said with a smile. But you know I don't drink that stuff. My body is a temple, and I only get one of these. Huh, of course, Cameron said with an awkward chuckle. I should have remembered that. I'm so sorry. I'll go put that away now. Please don't put that on my evaluation. Cameron, Duchovny barked. Take a deep breath, all right? I keep telling you this day after day. My advice is not going to change. Breathe. All you gotta do is breathe.
Right.
Cameron said while taking a deep breath.
I'm sorry. I will remember that, I promise.
Cameron walked back inside. That boy is always a ball full of energy now, isn't he? Duchovny said with a smile. Reminds me of me when I was younger.
Yes, sir, I know,
Martha said, nodding. Now you get back on those phone calls, missy, Duchovny said as he made his way back to the house. The fun's about to start. The end.